This is the commentary video for my Counter-Strike Global Offensive map, which was created in the latter half of 2021. I'll begin this video by working through my design document, beginning with the initial research stage. Because I was making this map for the 2v2 wingman mode, I thought it would be best to begin my initial research with pre-existing wingman maps and other Counter-Strike maps. I started by looking at how each map is laid out. A lot of Counter-Strike maps follow a similar 4-grid layout. 2 grids are designated T side and the other 2 for the CT side. Where these sections intersect is considered a choke point, and it's where most of the combat will take place in a level. This is considered a good way of making maps, as it's pretty easy to create a map that is mostly balanced from the get-go. I then looked at the timings of pre-existing Wingman and Counter-Strike maps. I discovered for most maps that there are a 2 to 5 second difference from when CTs and Ts arrive at the objective. The CTs always arrive first, as their objective is to defend the site. This is something that I looked into incorporate into my own level design. I carried out research into the metrics of CSGO. How high can the character jump? How far can they fall without taking damage? How does the smoke grenade plume? This was all important when it came to blocking out my level and ensuring the corridors and pathways were created to the right size. When it came to producing a mood board, this particular image filled me with inspiration. It really gives off the aesthetic and vibe that I wanted my level to feel. This inspiration led me to create a map where the focal point would be a sewage canal that led down the centre of the map, including some varied elevation, as it's something that's not seen often in Counter-Strike. Now on screen is the visual development of my drawings. I started out with a very simple line to figure out a rough guide of the shape of my map. Next, I wrote up a quick concept idea for each area of the map, outlining how I wanted the areas to look. I wanted the middle to be like a sewage system, tunnels, dirty water, wooden overhead walkways that would introduce the verticality I mentioned earlier. Finally, I drew up a more detailed top-down map. This is the map that I used to help block out the level. I then outlined the colour palette. I wanted the world to feel dark and dirty. Lighting the map would mainly be used for the dark areas. I created a timing breakdown, judging my numbers off what I learned earlier in the project in my research stage. Now we can take a look at the actual level, where it is fully built within the Hammer source editor. It took me a few weeks of the project just to learn how to use the Hammer editor, seeing as it's not as conventional as something like Unreal Engine, but it's quite old, so we'll have to let them off. Here is the T-sided spawn. It turned out grimy to fit the aesthetic that was initially planned, as you can see. If I fly up high, the map follows the plan, having a central sewage canal with higher walkways for the players to fight on. This area over here was planned to be a bridge. However, after testing, it became clearer that the area was far too open and the level became near impossible for the Ts to win. I carried out 4 testing stages, iterating on the level each time. The first test was while the level was in its very first blockout stage. Right here, this is what the map looked like. The first test stage made me realise that there was a lot of work to be done. There was loads of cover missing for gunfights, the timings that were planned were just out a little bit, and the testing basically let me gather data and improve upon the points that were made by the people helping me test. As you can see from these images, this was the second iteration. The T-spawn had moved to improve the timing. I added some cover, and basically this process repeated a few times. Each time I added some more cover, there was different variations, the walkways changed. I removed one of the bridges that was initially planned. After the 4 testing stages, I ended up with this, my final project, which I do believe, and the feedback from friends told me that this level was fun to play. Later in the process, I began meshing and texturing the level. This was definitely the most drawn-out process involved, as getting used to finding and placing props in Hammer was a challenge, but it was a challenge I overcame. I used decals to make the environment look lived in and less bland. Static props made the level feel more interesting and add variety to the walls and floors. And I basically kept progressing until I had finished the finished level, achieved the finished level. This is available on the Steam Workshop, but due to the release of Counter-Strike 2, you can't actually download and play it anymore, which is upsetting. I'm currently working on a Wingman map for the new Counter-Strike 2, which I look forward to finalising and adding to my portfolio. Thank you.